Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Cheap Seats. Here in your which is your FPL, your not your FPL show, your Premier League show, your weekly Premier League show. I'm doing a Manchester United or David De Gea already down the near post. It's your weekly Premier League show. I'm very excited for the show because I'm just gonna have a great time. But before we continue, remember the show is sponsored by Classic Shirts ZA. There are our shirt providers on Cheap Seats. You can see what he's wearing his. It's a little bit cold in Johannesburg, so I decided to wear Arsenal maroon, but not actually the maroon jersey because it is what it is. But the shirt for the week, the shirt of the week, where he didn't want to talk about Manchester United, so he was like, "We're playing them next week, Monday. They might be wearing white." So let's go back to a time when they did wear white. And that was Liverpool's 1995-97 away kit, the Carlsberg one. You can have Robbie Fowler on the back, the number 9 there. Really, I like this shirt a lot, especially when Liverpool were wearing Reebok, where probably weren't a fan of this shirt, even though it reminds you of a time you were dominant of them.
Yeah, it's also quite similar to last season's Liverpool kit. It is very nice, that sort of off-white color for Liverpool kit. If a Liverpool kit can be nice, this is what it would look like. But I'm not sure. Yeah.
Remember the discount code there, Cheap Seats 99. It will remind the Cheap Seats people, Yusuf and everybody, that we sent you. So that's essentially what it is. Okay. This weekend was magical. This weekend reminded us all as to why we love the Premier League.
Pure unadulterated Barclays.
Yes, it was. Guys, I don't understand what people do that don't watch soccer.
What do you do if you on the weekends? Like, I genuinely feel sorry for people.
Yeah, but anyway, Arsenal won, so I'm happy. 6 goals, yeah, fine, happy, awesome.
I'll let you guys know this weekend what you do when you don't watch football. So,
yeah.
more.
Play golf. You're going to be playing lots of golf this weekend, maybe. So we had amazing games. We're going to talk about that team that looked like Mountain GFC. But Dean, we closed out the weekend with an incredible match. Spurs versus Chelsea. You weren't too optimistic about Tottenham arriving because last year Tottenham only got 1 point in away games in London derbies. And is this the 1 point you're going to get this season in away games in North London? I thought so, but it was a great fight for a Tottenham side who don't start Premier Leagues well, and Harry Kane doesn't, but everyone else does. And the fact that you came back, there's a lot of refereeing decisions, there's a lot of drama. Managers wanted a fight, and so my question to you is, who wins in a boxing match between Conte and Thomas Tuchel? Tuchel, I'd do the same. I'm like, when you shake my hand, look me in the eye, dude. Look me in the eye. Conte's like, I want to bounce. Let me go.
A poor argument.
Be a man.
The best is the whole of Spurs Twitter has pulled out every single time Tuchel has not looked the other manager in the eye when he shakes hands. So every single game for Tuchel to come out and say that, it's just a childish excuse. But I think we played Chelsea in January, I think, like 3 times, and we lost all 3 games. We didn't even score a goal. So
and you didn't look in the eye.
But fine. And I think the progress that we then made, fine, it's a draw. I'm not sitting here saying Spurs deserved a win. I'm not even saying Spurs deserved a point. Chelsea outplayed us on that pitch the entire game pretty much. But it does say a lot about a team that can get outplayed and still be able to come through and still have the fight. And Tuchel saying, oh, we dominated for 90 minutes. That's fine, but you should have dominated for 96. That's what it comes down to. And you can point fingers at Spurs, but ultimately Chelsea had so many opportunities to kill that game. And I think that's the bigger point from a Chelsea perspective of that Kai Havertz chance with the Reece James cross is something you have to bury. Sterling being in front of goal, fairly open, has to bury that. Couple chances at the end. Conor Gallagher, fine, he's new, but there's a lot of chances they had to change that. And you look at the goals that Spurs scored, you want to talk about the Kai Havertz Bentancur tackle. It's 44 seconds after the tackle that we scored. Chelsea got possession back. So to go back to that is a poor excuse as well. So much can happen in a game in 44 seconds. The hair pull, I don't agree with Romero pulling someone's hair. 100% should have been dealt with, but at the end of the day, you have to play with what's happening. We got the goal after that. A lot has to be said about Son coming off the field, Perisic taking a corner. Without Perisic taking a corner like that, Kane can't score, which goes again to the way that Spurs have built the squad up with a lot more quality. So yeah, I think Spurs were outplayed, but to walk away from Stamford Bridge, a place that we've struggled, we haven't won in 26 years, or we've won once in 26 years. It says a lot about where the team is. And to be honest, I'm happy Conte wants to fight it.
Dean.
No,
it's a very Spursy argument. Because let me just get this to you, Wahid. That Spurs squad is a better squad than Chelsea squad. I sat and looked at it. I was like, this was your charts.
But
this was your charts.
Chelsea played so well. Let's just give credit where it's due. Chelsea played really well. Koulibaly, Thiago Silva, and Reece James were told, don't let Kane, Son, Kulusevski turn. And we couldn't turn. There was not a single game. And when we did turn, Reece James is basically grabbing onto Son, pulling him down, because that's the only way he can bring him down. Does that twice. No one's talking about the fact that that's a red card. Anyway, there are a lot of points in that game where Chelsea played extraordinarily well, and that's why they are upset that they didn't get the points. And fine, I get the point that, for Spurs to be challenging the title and be seen as improved, we should be winning games like that, not just being happy with a draw. I take that point, but it's a tough place to go. It's a place that we've struggled before. It's a good team. Now, without Conte, it's going to be interesting to see how long he's out for, in terms of how Chelsea are going to perform in the next couple of games. But you can't deny that going to a team like Chelsea, second game week of the season, it's one of the bigger games of the Premier League thus far, and is probably one of the bigger games that's going to happen for quite a while. United Liverpool is not a big game anymore. Liverpool are going to run rampant. So
I'm putting money
on it's a big game. So I'm happy. I'm not overly thrilled by the performance, but I'm happy with a point, and that's at the end of the day what happens.
Wahid, you've listened to your friend for many years. What do you make of this?
So you're playing with the boundaries of the word friend there, but I tolerate him. I just want to highlight two players. Number one is Kai Havertz, and Kai Havertz, if I was a Chelsea fan, I would find him so frustrating. He is such a talented player who does a lot of nothing for large portions of games. And Chelsea fans rah him for a silky touch here or a silky touch there. But in essence, this is a player who should be doing a hell of a lot more than he's actually doing with the talent he has. And I feel like there's a lot of I don't want to make this a Man United chat, but there's a lot of emphasis.
Anyway,
there's a lot of emphasis on certain players in the Premier League where the media sort of highlight a perceived lack of fulfilling their potential. And Kai Havertz just seems to be going completely under the radar when you consider, number one, his transfer fee, and number two, the level of his talent. So that's one player I want to highlight. And Havertz should be grabbing a game like that by the scruff of the neck and changing it. He should be burying that chance late on to seal that game. So yes, we can come here and say that, no, Spurs didn't deserve a point. No, absolutely not. They didn't. But it's almost like Chelsea losing 2 points rather than Spurs gaining one in this scenario. So yeah, we can talk all sorts of stuff about it, but Chelsea should have been doing a hell of a lot better there. So we've used on the show so far, we've used the Spurs narrative, but on the other side, Chelsea will feel like this is their chance to gain 3 points on a rival who probably at the end of the season will be their direct rival for the spots that they crave in the league. Number two, the other player I really wanted to highlight was Richarlison, because I thought he was horrific. I thought he was really, really, really bad.
Richarlison?
Yeah, I really did.
10 minutes.
No, again, exactly that. He played for 10 minutes, and we're making a lot, and that's exactly it. I thought he came on for 10 minutes and didn't play well. And we're making a lot of Spurs squad, and the fact that Spurs squad is supposed to be winning them the league. But how often is Conte going to look past his first 11? How often is he actually going to look past Kulusevski, Kane, and Son for first team spots? And the longer players like Richarlison don't get 90 minutes under their belt, the longer they sit on the bench, the more erratic those 10 and 15 minutes become. Richarlison, I'm not sure, is a player who should be playing 10 minutes. I'm not sure he's the type of player who's going to come on for 10 minutes and change a game. He's the type of player who needs 90 minutes to be playing week in, week out to be his effective self. What that effective self is, I'm not sure, but I'm not sure that he's the type of player. And this is exactly what Spurs have struggled with. They struggled with a player who's willing to play 10 minutes here and willing to play 15 minutes there to cover for Son and Kane. I'm not sure Richarlison is going to be that stoked with playing that, and I'm not sure he's going to be that good at coming on for 10, 15 minutes here and there. Having said that, I've never really rated the player. I think we can go look at
You've just got
I was
the
going to
personal
put that
agenda.
caveat there. We should actually have a ticker to say, by the way, Wahid's players that he does not like are Richarlison, Pogba, Veronique's son who's going to come through. And we'll do that next show. AB, looking at that game, was it 2 points lost for Chelsea? I was really surprised by Chelsea. Actually, with all the drama that they've had in the off-season and new owner and everything else, I was like, this is actually a pretty solid side. And the fact that, like, it hurts me that Conor Gallagher is coming off the bench. That bothered me so much. But look, that's who they have.
Look, man, if you're Chelsea and you want to be challenging for the Premier League, which is where Chelsea should be, given the coach they have, the players they've assembled, that was a shocking result for them. Spurs, if I'm Antonio Conte and the Spurs team, I'm so chuffed because it's a game that they got dominated in and they took a point. And that's how you get into top four. That's how you stay there. That's how you knock on the door of the Liverpools and the Cities. But Chelsea are showing right now that they need a proper number 9. They thought they had that in Rom. They thought they had that in Werner. They thought...
they had that in Havertz.
No, but Havertz is an attacking mid, right? He scored like 12 goals last season. He's not the guy. Now to find that person, now with a few days left of the transfer window...
Bring back my guy. Bring back my captain.
Anthony Gordon, that's who they're turning to. £40 million submitted to Anthony Gordon.
Anthony Gordon.
That's
you
what
serious?
they submitted yesterday.
They submitted £40 million with Anthony Gordon.
No, man, guys. You're lying.
No.
There's your
Go
goal,
get Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang. It's a simple thing. Just go and get him. Proven Premier League scorer.
I mean, I rated Chelsea as the second best team in the league last year, and Liverpool, just shot through, and they had a blinder season. I think Chelsea are fifth best team this year. I think in London, Arsenal and Spurs are stronger just because they don't have that number 9. What is Loftus-Cheek doing as a right wing back? No one knows. And Reece James, I mean, guys, I'm worried about that Chelsea team. They dominated, but it's... Yeah.
But there was one player there that really came through, and he reminded me of someone that probably gave Wahid and you, AB, sleepless nights, and that's John Terry. I was like, how the hell did they find him? He's like, yes, he was old, and nobody wanted him. Like, obviously, years ago, there was Koulibaly talk. Everybody wanted him. It cooled. And then all of a sudden, yes, they paid... I don't even they paid a pretty penny for him, but he looked so good yesterday.
No, but Paul, I'll respond to that by saying, do you remember Harry Maguire's debut against Chelsea?
He scored.
No, not his... He took a goal. Harry Maguire against Chelsea when we beat them 4-0 on his debut 2 seasons ago was instrumental. He was amazing. He was Paolo Maldini reborn. So let's not look into debut games because...
The one thing I will say, it's very easy to defend in a Chelsea team when you got Conte and Jorginho in front of you.
Yeah, fair enough.
Very easy. Conte does half your work.
You're also pretty protected when you're playing a back three like that. So, like,
and a hard back three, very hard. So,
you're generally a little bit more protected than being lambasted like our little dwarf in the back two, to be honest.
Before we get there, before we get to the United chat, let me just finish one thing. Conte will absolutely destroy Tuchel in a boxing match.
So
That
Dean, I was
guy-
thinking about that. Okay, so Tuchel's got the height. He's got about 14 centimeters of height. I thought this was a boxing chat. But okay.
No, but
Conte has
he's built like Wahid.
And you can't
If the wind
ignore the
blows
thick
too
hair.
much, he'll blow him over, man.
Yeah, so Conte needs to get on the
The
inside.
wind blows too hard, will blow Conte's hair right off.
Tuchel's got no hair to blow off. So,
So
there's no argument
maybe
going.
why Romero pulled Cucurella's hair was he was like, maybe this is a wig. Maybe this is like my manager's wig. So maybe
My
he was
thing
like,
That hair is
So
amazing.
if we just take
We're
that back,
ruling
right?
out sex masochism.
I think the first goal Spurs score, Conte gets very passionate, fine. He probably takes it overboard, take that.
Glad you
as
used
it
the
is.
word passionate.
We've taken that a lot, right? I think post that, Chelsea score the second goal. Tuchel runs halfway to bloody central London to celebrate across him.
Adebayo-esque.
That is, again, pushing the boundary. You know what you're doing in that case, so you are looking for it. At the end of the match, Conte goes, shakes the hand. He doesn't look him in the eye, which I've said Tuchel doesn't look at anyone in the eye anyway. And Tuchel grabs his hand and keeps trying to make a thing of it. Even post-match, you look at the post-match interview, Tuchel's going on and on saying they never scored, they never deserved the goals. Yeah, making a massive thing. Conte says, you know what? I'm here to talk about the football match. I don't need to make it any bigger than it is. There's one manager I'd rather have versus a manager that's just trying to fuel the fire and trying to basically make a bigger thing of it than what it actually is. At the end of the day, they're two passionate coaches. I'd much rather have Conte as a coach. Can you imagine that was Nuno? He would probably be crying still. So I'm very happy. I'd rather have a coach that's that passionate, shows it. The players get behind that. They want to now fight for him even more. Overall, couldn't have wished for a better game.
Okay.
I'm glad about this rivalry. I think the more rivalries we have, the more drama. It takes away from watching Man United play. So
It reminds you of
It's going to be like Liverpool City, Chelsea, Spurs, United,
Arsenal, Spurs. We've just got rivalries.
United,
Yeah, United, Fulham, and Nottingham and Leeds as well. You're in the Leeds realm.
You got Leeds.
next season, at least United will rival Norwich, which is cool.
Okay, cool. Let's move on to that thing. So on Saturday, drama happened. All manner of everything happened on Saturday. We all put money on Brentford winning 2-1. You know, we're like, yeah.
I've got to
We're
go.
like, yeah, United are United. You know, they're not there yet. They'll get there, but it'll be a respectable loss. Oh, Lord. They decided to play out from the back. De Gea decided to, in a week where everyone's looking for a goalkeeper to rival him, decided to just shepherd balls into the box. Short defenders were exposed. I don't know how, but I never knew that 5'9" there was a height limit. I thought now it's a basketball team at centre back. And then Christian Eriksen playing the 6. It was unbelievable.
Comedy.
They they were wearing green like Mountain Dew. I don't know if it was I'd vomit. I wouldn't lie, but Manchester
No, we were
lost.
wearing green because the board asked Erik ten Hag to highlight all the players that are shit, and
That works. And so the next one is Manchester United. What the hell was that? Like, what the hell was that? Let me start with you, Wahid. On the field, what was going on? Like, I don't want to blame the coach. I know it's a little bit too early.
it's too early to blame the coach. I mean, it goes to show that that we don't like this squad of players is so bad, is so broken, is so like distant from each other and from the values of what the club should be, that we don't even have a new manager bounce. We've just going.
I forgot about
You
that.
did have a new manager bounce. It was
We
pretty
haven't
season,
even had a new manager bounce. It's like every time you think Man United have reached rock bottom, Maguire and his mates take out a spade and keep digging. Like, they just keep finding a new way to get lower and lower and lower. Like, our expectations are already so low, and they just manage to disappoint us even further every single week. I have never seen a crop of Man United players who care this little. I just look at that team and I don't see anybody who cares. And that's a manifestation of everything that's happened off the field. We've got owners who don't care. We've got owners who simply don't care about the sporting project at this club. We've got owners who all they care about is their dividends and taking money out of the club. they've then put operational people into the club who are there to fit that agenda and to get that out of the club, instead of having people in operational roles who are willing to get the sporting project right. And therefore, we've got operational people who've bought players who simply don't care. And that's the biggest problem with Man United at the moment. All these players are about self-preservation, maintaining their own PR, and coming out looking all right. Like, that is what these players are about. They don't care more than themselves. And that's the biggest issue. Man United fans care more about this club than the players who represent us. That's my biggest issue.
But Wahid, let me go to AB. AB, we've all played sport in some form or whatever it is. Losing 4-0 is fine if you're being outplayed. So that 4-0 against Liverpool last year, that was like, we were like, oh, yeah, no, like you can see, chalk and cheese. But there comes a point where, I know in the second half he didn't concede, but there comes a point where Cristiano Ronaldo, former World Player of the Year, Champions League Varane came out in the second half, so I'll give him that. But these guys try and, if you don't care about the club, at least like play to save the embarrassment, or is it just like, you know what, guys, it's fine. We'll move on to the next one.
It's almost as if like they have no respect for their teammates around them, the fans in the stadium, the badge on the shirts, and then themselves. It's
professional side is lacking.
Yeah, and when you hear things like, well, I've always said a Man United team should never be outworked, and for a long time they never were. They'd lose, but not because they didn't put in the effort. You go and look at a Conte team, a Tuchel team, a Klopp team, a Pep team, and those guys work hard. Hell, you go look at a Graham Potter team. They work hard from the start. They may not have, the quality that Cristiano Ronaldo has, that Bruno has, but when players give up before they even start, and when they start making stupid mistakes or lazy mistakes, it's difficult. I struggled to watch that game, and you stop caring as a fan. I've stopped caring. I'm dead inside.
So the other point for me, obviously, where he just spoke about the 13.8 kilometers that I think each player ran, or they collectively ran over Manchester United.
13.8 kilometers is how much we were outworked by Brentford. Brentford collectively ran 13.8 kilometers more than us during that game. That is embarrassing. I've never in my life, as a football fan, not as a United fan, as a football fan, seen one team outwork another team that much. I'm talking like even like watching
the 8-2 though.
But we didn't outwork you that much. That was a dearth in quality.
Yeah.
That was a dearth in quality. You guys put out an injury-ravaged side, and we took you to the cleaners. This was one team, hungrier, more professional, and outworking another team, outworking a team individually better than them, outworking them, and therefore coming away with a win. Individually, player for player, Man United are light years, are stratospheres ahead of Brentford.
Yeah.
Like, we shouldn't forget that.
Dean, when you were watching that, what were you thinking?
After the loss to Brighton, you're like, okay, that was bad, but like United will work on it during the week. They'll come back. It's Brentford, so it's fairly easier fixture you would imagine on paper. And as soon as De Gea makes that mistake, you kind of just go, here we go again, and you just wait for the absolute wheels to come off. So watching it just makes you think, we all put United as kind of to finish 6th in the league. They're struggling top table if they keep this form. Struggling, the likes of West Ham, Brighton, Crystal Palace, all those kind of teams could really challenge them, and will challenge them for that top space. But I think there's a few players that I just wanted to highlight and kind of just say these were the ones that for me were just shocking. So Lisandro Martinez, fine. The guy's short.
He's not a centre back, guys. Sorry.
He's not a centre back. He's short. But then here's my thing. Ten Hag knows him better than anyone, right? In the Premier League. He's played with him. He coached him at Ajax. If he can play defensive midfielder, put him as defensive midfielder if he can't play centre back. It takes a Burnley player manager that got axed and he's scoring against you. You know what I mean? That's the guy that's scoring against you. So that shows how bad it is. So I don't understand why you keep putting him at centre back. He is short, fine, but then Conte is not the tallest man on the field, but he's probably one of the best defensive midfielders we've seen. Play him in the defensive midfielder position if you don't have that position covered. That's the one thing I don't understand. The next thing, Bruno, he has been shocking for a while, and he's gone under the radar, but he ultimately, and I said it after the show last week, Eriksen plays the Bruno role better than what Bruno used to. He plays that number 10 better than what Bruno can. And I've seen a lot of stuff on Twitter as well. As soon as Bruno loses the ball, his hands are up and he's just complaining. If he gives the ball away, he just kind of stops. So I think Bruno is a big problem in that team. And the sooner that gets rectified as well. Again, though, I don't think previously you could have taken Bruno out that team because that reduces your creativity. But Eriksen can play that role better than what Bruno was. And in that game against Brighton, he showed that he's got the class and he was at least trying some stuff. So I think Eriksen above Bruno, and that's without any Spurs bias for me going forward. But I do think Eriksen plays that role. That being said, playing Eriksen as a 6 is stupid. He needs to be that number 10. So absolutely get rid of him. Scott McTominay, useless. He should never play. Fred, useless. Shouldn't play. So I would put Martinez as defensive midfielder. I'd put Christian as your number 10. Try something different. The front, the goal scorers, Rashford, Sancho, again, not delivering enough. Elanga, man is trying his best. The one thing is Malacia.
If he played for Brighton, would Man United be interested in him?
No, but this is my thing.
If McTominay played for Southampton, would Man United even give him another look? No.
But I've said it before. McTominay is Man United's Harry Winks. He's just there because he grew up there. Yeah. So that's the point.
Same thing with Marcus Rashford. You guys need to move off him. He's done.
I have no problem with McTominay being around the squad, but he shouldn't.
No. You guys laughed at Arsenal's bench for years because we had nobody. Scott is not a Manchester United player. Get him out. Same thing with Rashford.
Scotland's third choice centre back should not be starting in midfield for Man United.
He should not be playing at all. It doesn't matter. Cancel his contract and let him go.
But that being said, wait. So Malacia, I think at left back, I think he showed a lot of fight. He did do some stuff. He tried to do a little bit of things. Luke Shaw's also not it. So get Malacia on there and just try.
Luke Shaw's terrible.
And my next thing is, everyone knows you've been chasing Frankie de Jong for 6 months or whatever, how long it is.
Really?
I've said it before in the group. You're not going to get him. There isn't a plan B, or doesn't look like there's a plan B. Now we know Rabiot's coming. It just shows that, again, it's just going to be a rerun of the same mistakes because they're just making the same mistakes over and over and over again. Cut it all out. Go and get some youngsters. Play Garner. Play that kid. Like, at least
they want to sell him.
I know, but that's what I'm saying. It's United fans expecting this to change. It's just a rerun, and everyone's just going to laugh.
Okay.
And Liverpool are going to win 6 next week.
I'm triple captaining Salah, but more than that.
I'm putting money on is Manchester United to lose by less than 3 goals. I think you could get some money there, and then a sneaky Manchester United win in case Cristiano Ronaldo just pops up and arrives somehow, and Liverpool get a red card.
Doesn't play.
Here's I'll go where to from here, guys, and I'm gonna go with Wahid, and I'm gonna go with Amy. We watched last week. I think Arsenal. Mikel just literally ripping up Aubameyang's contract and being like, get out of my club. Is there a possibility for you to do that? Because there's stories coming out. People don't like Cristiano. People don't like whatever. Things are going on. People don't want to run 13.8 kilometers. Where do you go from here in this situation?
It's a fair question, and I think just to backtrack a little bit, I think one of the things that where to from here is that the coach, although the blame isn't at his door, is not blameless. He's made some very questionable decisions in his first 2 games, which have potentially already cost us points. The coach has to remember that this is the Premier League and this is not the Eredivisie. So spending 55 million pounds on Lisandro Martinez, he's gonna be crucified by that decision because that is not a club target. The club, I read today on The Athletic that the club watched Ajax games extensively, and Lisandro Martinez was not mentioned by club scouts as a player that should be pursued. The club wanted to sign Pau Torres as the left-footed centre-back, and Erik ten Hag was given carte blanche to override that. So he's gone with his man, and if his man is shit, he needs to answer for that, because we've now spent a ton of money on that player. So if that player can't play centre-back, there needs to be some reckoning for whoever's made that decision, which seems to be the coach. So on Dean's point, if he is to play defensive midfielder, then maybe we have some form of plan. But right now, it's going to take him and the club some adjusting to make him a centre back. So that's one of the things of where to.
When Arsenal and I think Spurs were looking into Lisandro Martinez, for Arsenal it was we wanted him as the Tierney replacement and or Xhaka's replacement when Xhaka decides to get a red card. It was never, oh, by the way, he's going to be our centre back.
Yeah.
So it kind of tells you the type of thinking around that little scouting network at Manchester United. Because I thought you were getting a left back replacement for sure. That's what I thought he was. And I actually
it reminds me of us like signing Malacia and Martinez. Kind of reminds me of LVG's first year where we signed Rojo and we signed Luke Shaw and we signed Daley Blind, and it seemed like we'd signed 3 left backs. But I don't know. Like to be perfectly honest, so your question is where to from here, and I'm not sure, and I think we'll need 2.5 weeks to answer that. But as Dean said, it just seems like there's no planning. You look at the names that we're being linked with for the forward positions, and there's absolutely no similarities between those players. We're going from Aubameyang to Morata to Arnautovic and there's no link. All those players are remarkably different from each other, and the only link between them is that they're available. So once again, Man United are going after what's an easy target rather than buying players who are going to fit the profile of what's needed. Rabiot is a player who's available, not the profile of a player that's needed. And that's how we've gotten ourselves into this mess to start with. We sign what's available rather than signing what we need. Rather than breaking the door down for what we need, we've targeted easy players. Christian Eriksen, again, good player, but we're signing an easy sign player who's willing to sign for us for no money. And that just shows us the lack of operational structure for the sporting side of this club. There's no planning. It just seems like United are pissing in the dark trying to hit the pot here. And I don't understand what we're doing. So where to is a very difficult thing to answer right now. Let's see what they do in 2 weeks, and then it's over to the coach. The coach has to coach these players to be better. The coach has to create a dressing room environment that's better, because from what I'm reading, that dressing room is so divided and so broken that I think if you could Sir Alex Ferguson, the greatest coach of all time, back in here, we'd still be catching numbers from Brighton.
So Alex would come in there and start throwing soccer boots at everybody. And I'm assuming if this was Sir Alex era, the under-21 team would be starting against Liverpool. Agreed. While these prima donnas, you'd do that.
100%. I mean, poor Sir Alex is wishing that stroke killed him, honestly.
But Amy, let's go to you. Where to from here? Because I think obviously the thing with Manchester United is they're not buying value. No one there is assessing value. And that's what Wahid's cry is. It's like, look, he can come for cheap, but where's the value? You know, even though, as Dean says, Eriksen's better, and I think that was a really nice get for a guy who was going to come off the bench. But what do you do now? Like, you're playing Liverpool on Monday. Like, what happens now? What do you do?
You go buy a goat, you sacrifice it. I don't know. No, honestly, it's too late to buy the players we need. Wahid's covered that. Right now, we need to look at this team and figure out how we're going to stop bleeding goals. If that means phoning up Forest and saying, Dean, come back, there must be a case. There must be a case.
No,
that man's never coming back.
Give them a goalkeeper. So you send the hair to them.
Yeah, I mean, we'll give him the hair. But I've been saying this for a while, but I honestly believe this United team should go to a back three. We cannot play with two centre backs. We do not have two good enough, fit enough, smart enough centre backs to warrant this. Like Maguire is not what he was meant to be. Rafael Varane is like 40% of the player he used to be. Lissandro is short. And then you've got Victor Lindelof, who's just shit. But we've got Bailly and Jones waiting in the wings. We've overloaded with centre backs. So put them on the field. We don't have a midfield. So you play Varane, Maguire, Lissandro. Lissandro can be at CDM. I don't really care. He just can't hit the ball. Don't let him hit the ball. He won't get it. Play your wing backs. No one really cares about them because they're also shit. So play Malacia, play whoever you want on the right. No one cares. And then just vibe. Like, just try and make sure that you put as many bodies in defense and pray that you don't concede a goal. That's all we can do. There's no structure. There's no system.
So I listened to that post-match Sky presser, whatever it was, with Gary Neville crying and Jamie talking about
me when I talk to you and all that nonsense.
Yeah, and Neville made a point about because and I'm sorry to the short. I'm a short man. I'm not 5'9", but like I didn't know you needed a height, but Gary Neville spoke about when he wanted to come in. When he came to Manchester United, he was a centre back, and so Alex played him at centre back. But over the years, he realized that the taller strikers just bully him, and
it's the Premier League, right? This is what it is.
No, but remember, even with like, but it's a size thing. But I get that, and I kind of feel for Martinez, but it goes back to and Wahid's point. It's the research. It's the understanding what you want, and I get, and it's gonna fall on Eric Ten Hag. I actually thought Manchester United were not gonna go and dip into the Martinez well because this Oak is a backup, and I'm sorry that Arsenal drove the price up. But like the Oaks,
no, you're not.
I feel sorry for them because, because I get that and I get the whole back three idea and I love it. But then what happens on the other side of the field? And this is my problem with the way to from here. Is that you've got two parts of the football pitch where it's not working.
You have all parts of the football pitch.
And then at the back, you are
conceding. The whole football pitch. There's no midfield either. There's no heart in this team, both on the pitch and off the pitch.
But we need to start somewhere. And I think for me, from a way to from here, it's a situation of fine. You need to draw a line in the sand and say this is it. And I think ETH needs to do this. And to a certain extent, it goes to the Cristiano question. I think that question is hanging around the team. He needs to sort that out this week. Is Cristiano part of your plans? Yeah. Is he not? Yeah. If he's not, try find a place for him where you can get a striker. And it doesn't matter who it is. You just need someone who's going to score goals, who's not Cristiano. Because I think taking that guy out the side might be a little bit better. Also hearing rumors about Harry complaining and all these players complaining. If guys complain, maybe it's time to let them go. And yes, this is the Mikel Arteta book of coaching, and I'm not a fan of it at all. It's not the way we grew up watching coaches, kicking. But you need to find a way where you're like, okay, I need an 11 I can trust. He doesn't have 5 players he can trust. And that's the worry for me, is that when you play Liverpool next week, I'm expecting a bounce back. I'm expecting some sort of a fight back, but we're not going to get it. And so my thing is that outside of all the board and all the transfer activity, I think today is a massive day for Manchester United. This week, in trying to figure out what can we do, what's possible, what's not. And on the board, write it on the board and be like what it is. The only issue I have is, and this is the one reason I don't like the Glazers. I think they're okay. To me, I'm like, dude, they're American owners and they do it like this, right? The Glazers were in charge of Tampa Bay from 99 until like now. They've had the grace of the thing called the NFL draft, where they've been able to find quarterbacks who've been good enough, and they've managed to ride the wave to Super Bowls all the way through on the back of good players without spending money, because you don't spend money in the NFL as a salary cap. And that's what they're trying to do with Manchester United. And they thought, and I think that's why Cristiano's there, when Cristiano wanted to come back, they were like, oh yeah, that's a Tom Brady type of selection, because that's what Tom Brady does. He makes you in trophies. But that's not worked. And so if they're not gonna, and I agree with you guys. If they're not gonna put money in the club, then it's not gonna work. But they need to put money in now in the next 2 weeks. You need to, because you're in a market where you're going to be paying premiums for Marko Arnautovic.
Yeah, but also no one's available, right? No one's going to sell.
No one's
No
available.
one wants to come.
Having watched, but also having seen the first 2 results, if you are the sporting director of any club and you hear and you pick up the phone and John Murto's on the other end, you don't even need to ask which player he's asking about. Add 25 million to the price. You know there's firstly Man United takes, and secondly desperation tax. Man United are desperate. Add 25, add 30, add 40 million. You're going to be paying 50 million pounds for honestly for the drac of the Premier League now.
I would honestly keep James Garner, play him the whole season. He'll get a season long with the Premier League experience. We'll lose 80% of our games, but it's fine. Write it off to experience and then build from there. Don't carry the McTominays and the Freds.
That's my point. There must be kids in that academy that can play the positions. I don't know the United Academy, but Garner, the Iqbal guys that were playing on preseason and all those guys.
Hannibal's going out on loan now.
But that's what I'm saying. It's still bad decisions. But
in this team,
Hannibal has played in the final of the Asia Cup. Like surely he's experienced enough at that point to come into the first team and not need to go to Birmingham City on loan. When we're struggling this much, surely you're not sending players to Birmingham.
But the other side,
one thing that I loved about Van Gaal was like guys like Harry McNeil played like.
So, but guys,
maybe
Chelsea did something this window that was quite interesting. They have this Project 2030. They're buying all these youngsters around England to be part of their squad in the next 5-7 years or 3, 4, 5, whatever long it is. And that's always been, Chelsea's model's always had the academy, but now they're buying around because they I don't think they've got many now. Is that not your way to be like, okay, fine, we're going to play with this shitty squad now? But what we need to do in these next 2 weeks is identify who the best Premier League 2 players, under 18 players are in the country and bring them to United.
Yeah, and then I'm going to stop you. I'm going to stop you right there because Nicky Butt and the head of the youth academy, Nick Cox, for a while actually did that. They went around Europe, scouring Europe for the best possible youngsters and paid big money for those youngsters.
Oh, okay.
Hannibal Mejri, Alejandro Garnacho, all these players were scoured.
Charlie McNeil,
we paid good money to bring these guys with the under 18s and under 23s. But the way Man United have set up their squad is it's so bloated at the top level that the path for those boys to come through and play for the first team is actually a little bit blocked. So we can try that as much as we want, and we've sorted out the youth. The youth are doing fine. They won the FA Cup last season. It's the fact that at the top level, it's so bloated that it's actually very difficult for a manager to just go, okay, let's use this player. Let's use Jimmy Garner. And I don't understand what's stopping it, but it seems like it's almost we're paying £170,000 a week to Fred. We have to play him. So the path for the kids is blocked. The kids aren't a problem. There are good kids coming through.
But then it takes a manager with guts to then say, I'm not going to play Fred. You can pay him £970,000. Either cancel his contract, send him somewhere else. He's got 2 weeks to find a job, but I don't want to play him. And that's, I think, Eric Ten Hag finds himself in that situation where Manchester United's been a merry-go-round for managers, so he doesn't want to do that at the expense of losing his job.
Also, it's a little unfair on the kids to throw them into such a dysfunctional side.
It's true.
You'll be killing his career before it starts. You're throwing him into the deep end, into a ring of fire at the age of 18, 19, 20, into a dysfunctional dressing room that all apparently hate each other. That he's not going to thrive in that situation. Maybe it is better for him to go to Birmingham on loan.
Look, all I'm saying is I'm happy Mikel Arteta went to the kids last season. But
can I tell you what I'm happy about? I'm so happy Poch didn't go to that bloody job. It would have ruined him. I am so happy.
Dean, the way Man United has run, Poch is probably going to be our manager in February. Just the way this club is run.
No, not Feb. Not Feb. They'll give him a window, so probably November, December.
So he's getting fired before the World Cup.
Well, he wants a window. You're not going to hire a manager without giving him a window.
You guys are gonna fire Eric Ten Hag before the World Cup. That would
would it surprise you? Would it surprise you? But also, if I'm Eric Ten Hag right now, do you know what I'm doing? I'm tearing up my contract and I'm walking. That is what I would do.
Surely, like Consumer Protection Act protects him here somehow. Like,
if I'm the manager, I am because apparently he interviewed the club to ask for guarantees before signing that contract, and all those guarantees have been reneged on. So if I'm that manager, I'm tearing up my contract today. Like, thank you very much. I'm not hanging my reputation on this crap club.
But look, if he turns it around after this start, it could be great. Remember, we were sitting here last year with Arsenal having lost 3 games, and we thought, okay, Mikel Arteta's getting fired before October, and he turned it around. Is that possible?
There was a process with Arsenal, and you just had to trust the process. There is no process here, Paul.
The one thing I found interesting, and before we finish, I wanted to ask what he and Avi. I saw something about at Ajax, Ten Hag wasn't in charge of the transfer policy. It was Mark Overmars.
Yeah.
So and then he was the one that was scouting everyone, and Ten Hag was just coaching them. And now he's got free reign at United, and I think it might be a little bit of a case of
doesn't know
what he's doing, getting players that he shouldn't be getting. So
that's true. I don't know if it's true, but we got to take one step back and to say that right before the manager came on, we actually fired all our scouts because they've been rubbish. So it's almost at a point where we've said that this scouting system that we have has been useless. It's not working. So for this window, we're going to have to trust the manager to find his own targets. And I think that how he's gone about it is to say that this dressing room is dysfunctional. This dressing room isn't working. I need warriors who'll die on the pitch for me. And it's almost like signing the personalities he needs and the players he knows. He's going, and it's clear he's going after players he knows. And he needs those players to sort of die for him on the pitch. And in that sort of sort out the dressing room vibe before moving on. And maybe in the next 6, 8, 10 months, they'll sort out that scouting network and that scouting department. But for now, they sort of back the manager and say, sign the players you know. And you're going to live and die by this because he needs players who's going to sort out that dressing room for him. Who's going to die for him.
That answers the question of why there's no plan B, C, D, E when Frankie says no. Because the man doesn't know players B, C, D, E. He's just looking for the players he knows.
Frankie's not coming back. And if I'm Chelsea right now, I'm paying for Frankie because if Conte's out, I need Frankie de Jong.
So I think with the Frankie deal, I think we've got the money. It's just
man doesn't want to come.
The man does not want to come. Now imagine a Frankie who does not want to be in Manchester United coming into that dressing room.
I mean, United have never done that before, so it'll be okay.
Like, imagine that. Imagine the drama there. And it's funny because, okay, one last thing quickly. Wahid, how long do you think Manchester United will turn the ship around and get back to their glory days? Or 32?
You're talking about like the longest corner of all time. Like when we trying to turn the corner, it's like the Titanic trying to do a 180. I don't know. Paul, I almost feel like. Do you remember last season when United were lambasted for writing off half a season in not going for Conte? And I hold my hands up. We probably should have rivaled Spurs for Conte. How it looks now, we should have done it. Okay, I hold my hands up. Okay, but
can we just put that on a list of poor calls Wahid has made again?
Yeah.
remember Ralph, the school teacher.
It almost feels like United are not writing off 6 months.
How many years to fix the club?
Are now writing off a full year. It feels like we're at the start of the season and we're willing to write it off. And that should never be the Man United way. We're almost saying, okay, we'll write off this season and next season we'll go. And at the start of a season, that's a very bad feeling for a person who supported this club all their lives to say that we're already 2 games in writing off. We had panic stations. It doesn't feel good. So I don't have an answer to your question. My hope is that the manager buys some equity with these players and gets them on his side, or else it's a slippery slope. And you fear for the manager if he can't get these players on his side. And they've thrown managers under the bus before. They will do it again. A leopard doesn't change its spots.
It's week 2, and they've already done that. They've already done that. AB, what did Rolf say?
I know we said, I didn't say it. I thought Ralph was a fraud. No one believed me. He was a fraud. He left to coach Austria. No, Paul, how long did it take Liverpool to win the league? 30 years?
30 years.
Okay, so we won the league in 2013.
So we're going to retire from our jobs.
Yeah. So I'm
going to
honestly
retirement.
gonna say,
The next time
I'll say
Manchester United
we'll
will
win the league again in 22 years' time. Yeah, there you go. 22 years.
Okay.
I
Well,
have no
Dean's still
faith.
I'm
waiting.
just upset. I just want to see when Spurs play Man United. I want it to be now.
Yeah, I think Arsenal's playing them in like 2 weeks. So
Yeah.
I'm excited. I'm like, come on, baby.
19th of October. Just wait until then, and then we can then you guys can do whatever you want.
Okay. Okay, guys. Thank you very much. We're gonna probably talk about this team for a lot longer this season because there's gonna be more of this happening, especially after Liverpool on Monday. So enjoy the weekend's fixtures. Enjoy Liverpool on Monday against Manchester United. Hopefully it'll be a draw. If it is, put money down. You might be a millionaire by the end of the game. But outside of that, let's see if Eric Ten Hag can turn it around. Thank you very much, guys. Have a great day. And to everybody, remember we have an FPL show happening later in the week, so please do join us for that. Outside of that, goodbye, good night, and le sale, kakahiso.